If you like what we do here on Skiba News Nation, please like and subscribe, and also share with others so we can grow the biggest truth-seeking community on the internet. Huge shout out to all of our Patreons out there. If you like bonus content, you want some extra Skiba News Nation stuff, please go to patreon.com/Skiba News Nation.
Welcome to Skiba News Nation, bringing you unfiltered views, news, interviews, discussions, and more. And now, here's your host, Jeremiah Skiba, award-winning musician and son of Rob Skiba.
With the son of the legendary Rob Skiba. Jeremiah Skiba, what's up?
With my great and insightful co-host, Mr. Jake Graham.
Dude, so much you do conspiracy news. It would be 10 times better than what you see on television.
It's like I don't even want to wake up.
He's on a quest for truth.
Something huge is coming. We're building the world's largest truther convention. It's called TrutherCon.
This is the place where truthers unite to explore knowledge, ask tough questions, to challenge the mainstream narrative.
But it isn't just a convention. It's a movement for free thought, open discussion, and the right to question everything.
We are bringing in some of the biggest names of the truther community, so expect deep discussions, mind-blowing revelations, and connections with like-minded truth seekers.
If you feel like the truth is being hidden from you, this is where you need to be.
And the best part, it's 100% grassroots, built by truthers for truthers, straight from our Skiba News Nation family. TrutherCon will be a massive networking event. I believe this is going to be the most exciting truther event ever.
October 2025 in Dallas, Texas. We hope to see you there. Hey Skiba News Nation family, welcome to episode 133 of Skiba News Nation, your weekly source of the latest news, controversial topics, conspiracies, forgotten history, and so much more. I'm your host, Jeremiah Skiba, and today we'll be talking about shooter in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Cracker Barrel connection to BlackRock, Fauci has been breaking the Nuremberg Code for decades, AI robots taking over every level of the workforce, AI using filters against our will on YouTube, warning for TSA Precheckers, child trafficking happening by our own government, an all-new Opus Corner, and this week for History's Mysteries, we'll be talking about the unsolved mystery of the ghost ship, in volume 23 of Please Excuse My Sense of Humor. As always, here's my co-host, Jake Graham. Welcome, Jake.
Hey, Jeremiah. Doing great. How are you guys?
Still upright, as Oppa would say.
Yep.
Yeah, guys, get your TrutherCon tickets, by the way. Get your VIP pass. There are only limited numbers of these, so go on truthercon.com and get yourself a VIP badge. But yeah, man, you got some good current news for me today?
Yeah, I really do. Yeah, let's get into it, guys. Some stuff happening today in the world. All right, guys, let's first listen to this report of somebody who heard the gunshots going off there in Minneapolis. Pretty crazy.
We live about 2 blocks from here. I was on a call. All the windows of our home were open. I know what gunfire sounds like, and I could tell. I was shocked. I said, "There's no way that could be gunfire." There was so much of it. So it was sporadic. So it was a semi-automatic. It seemed like a rifle. It certainly didn't sound like a handgun. And so he must have reloaded, several times for sure.
Do you remember about how many gunshots?
I'll just say maybe 30 to 50 to, somewhere in that area.
Do you recall about how long
the fire went on?
Yeah.
For, I would say, several minutes. I mean, 3 minutes or, 4, which is a long time for live gunfire. So
All right, so we have that report there, somebody hearing the gunshots. There was announced that 2 children had been killed and there were 17 shot. But let's watch this news report from the police that were dealing with the situation.
My name is Brian O'Hara, B-R-I-A-N, O''H-A-R-A. I am the Minneapolis Police Chief. Earlier today, just before 8:30 a.m., our city experienced an unthinkable tragedy. Minneapolis police officers responded to a report of a shooting at a mass that was happening at the Annunciation Roman Catholic Church on the block behind me. This worship service was marking the first week of school for children that are attending the Annunciation Catholic School. During the mass, a gunman approached on the outside on the side of the building and began firing a rifle through the church windows towards the children sitting in the pews at the mass. Shooting through the windows, he struck children and worshipers that were inside the building. The shooter was armed with a rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol. This was a deliberate act of violence against innocent children and other people worshiping. The sheer cruelty and cowardice of firing into a church full of children is absolutely incomprehensible. Police officers from the Minneapolis Police Department immediately responded, entered the church, and attempted to provide first aid and rescue some of the children that were hiding throughout the building, while other first responders came and EMS responded to rush victims to nearby hospitals. 2 young children, ages 8 and 10, were killed where they sat in the pews. Their parents have been notified. 17 other people were injured, 14 of them being children. 2 of those children are in critical condition. The coward who fired these shots ultimately took his own life in the rear of the church. Our hearts are broken for the families who have lost their children, for these young lives that are now fighting to recover, and for our entire community that has been so deeply traumatized by this senseless attack. We will stand together to protect our children, our schools, and our houses of worship. This deliberate act of violence is just a sign of cruelty that is beyond comprehension.
All right. Yeah, pretty sad, tragic news there. What do you guys think?
It's pretty sad. I think it's interesting that they're not naming the shooter or showing his photo, which kind of makes you think, because they are a sanctuary city. I'm pretty sure. Pretty blue over there.
Yeah, I think they're waiting to do the investigation a little bit more before they release names or pictures. But yeah, it is pretty bad to have it with children. I mean,
but if there was one good guy with a gun, it would have all been over pretty quickly, I think.
In some lighter news, I think let's cover this topic of Cracker Barrel and their logo change getting the attention of President Trump. Breaking, President Trump congratulates Cracker Barrel on making the right move and bringing back the iconic logo. All of your fans very much appreciate it. Good luck into the future. So they got so much backlash over changing their logo. I mean, it was merciless. There were so many funny memes. The Kraken Barrel. There's so many hilarious memes that came out of this whole logo change for Cracker Barrel, and I know Opa has some pretty good ones as well.
They took Uncle Herschel off the barrel!
How dare they remove our cracker from our barrel?
You know what's really bad. I know that they have made the decision to not change the sign.
Keep the cracker.
Yeah, they're going to keep the sign and Herschel, Uncle Herschel. But I don't know about
Keep the cracker on the barrel.
Keep the cracker on the barrel. I don't know if they're going to stop doing what they're going to do to the remodeling. For instance, right now, this is the way the inside of Cracker Barrel looks, which has been that way forever. And this is the way that they're changing it to, which looks awful. I mean,
Looks like IKEA.
yeah, or whatever it is. I don't know. It's so plain, and the colors are, awful, and they got rid of the old, the furniture that's the old-timey furniture. And they're going with booths and just regular old tables and stuff. It just looks terrible. And then, of course, the other thing they're changing that there has been a little bit of uproar about, and that is, if everybody knows that when they go to a Cracker Barrel, they're going to see on the table a pegboard, a pegboard game. And this is the old pegboard game. And on the back it tells you, says, if you leave only one peg left on the table, on the board when you play the game, you're a genius. If you leave two, you're pretty smart. If you leave three, you're just plain dumb. And if you leave four or more, you're just plain ignoramus. Okay? Which is kind of funny from an old country store type thing. Well, I guess they decided they wanted to change that too. So now the new pegboard games look like this. So what it says now is, leave only one, you're a genius. Leave two, rocking the chair, but not the game. Leave three or more, no reason to be embarrassed. Try again.
There are no losers in life anymore.
So what do you think about that?
Oh, it's like the snowballed so snowballish that it turned into eventually Cracker Barrel becoming woke. And it's funny because culturally I feel like there's been a little bullwhip effect where we're being more conservative and pro-Trump, and finally these woke policies are being kind of squared up against. But it's like this has been so long in the making that they finally got to Cracker Barrel. They finally broke down the old hoagies. And I know my grandfather was a supporter of Cracker Barrel for so long because they didn't serve alcohol. And then recently they added alcohol to their menu, and then it was a downhill slope from there. So, oh man.
Well, a wise man once said,
Everything woke turns to shit, okay?
it's true.
It's true. Well, because we're covering this, I think it's really interesting we check out this breakdown on how the Cracker Barrel logo change ties into a BlackRock conspiracy agenda.
Kingdoms. There's the kingdom of darkness, and then there's the kingdom of his dear son. As one begins to see animals morph into things that are just unquestionable.
But some southeast Fort Collins neighbors noticed bunnies where cute wasn't exactly the word that came to mind. I snapped this photo of one of the rabbits I've seen with the growth. I also saw this photo posted on Reddit, also spotted in Fort Collins.
Like a scabbyish looking kind of growth over her face.
Looks like it was black quills or black toothpicks sticking out all around his mouth.
As one begins to see pestilences, such as the plague in California, and many others that are starting to blossom up around the world, setting up the next pandemic.
I think it's crazy. I didn't even know the plague was still something that was going on.
For both visitors and residents of South Lake Tahoe, it's shocking to hear about a case of the bubonic plague.
That was very news to me, and that's scary.
So this person was camping in an area in South Lake Tahoe and was bitten, likely by a flea.
As one begins to see silly arguments such as Cracker Barrel, the logo of Cracker Barrel, one begins to realize that there is a battle, that there is a warfare for the mind of the people. Because at the end of the day, if they can keep you sedated, distracted, divided, you will forget that there are two kingdoms. One is of darkness, and one is of his dear son. Do you know which kingdom you belong to today?
American Classic undergoing a major rebrand. Cracker Barrel is giving its restaurants a modern makeover. Not everybody's happy about it. Chef Locke is outside of one of the restaurants. He's in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Tell us what's happening, Jeff.
Jackie, you know, Cracker Barrel is probably the one restaurant chain that could have gotten away without ever changing anything, and people would have been happy.
He looks like he's rocking the Trump hair.
Dark and old and kind of dusty. But they decided to change things. Like this thing, that sign up there, that's the logo. Old man sitting on a chair, leaning on a Cracker Barrel. Not anymore.
So Cracker Barrel thought it would be a good idea to go woke and to change their branding and, you know, just become something that literally nobody wants here in America. You know who's happy about it? Every single one of their competitors.
And they entertain you, and they distract you, and they get you to pick a side, and they get you to argue with people over the things that really don't matter. An example of that is the Cracker Barrel scenario that's happening right now, where you have the far right talking about woke and woke media and this woke culture. Well, where was all this energy with the pervy culture in the Epstein files? Amazing how they'll go after the whole woke thing, and that's also becoming a new trend thing, very similar to how the woke thing was, where now they call anything that they don't agree with woke. Anything and everything to keep you distracted from the wars, anything and everything to keep you distracted from things that matter, anything and everything to keep you distracted from the fact that there are two kingdoms, and the kingdoms of do not have your best in heart.
Cracker Barrel wants you to know they have a new look, both for the local and the stores.
Honestly, the feedback's been overwhelmingly positive that people like what we're doing. I'll give you another sound. I actually happened to be in Orlando last week with all of our managers. We bring them together and once every other year. And the number one question that I got asked, Michael, was, how can I get a remodel? When can I get a remodel? How do I get on the list?
Oh, really?
So,
I don't know, I kind of liked Cracker Barrel, that country theme. Now it just looks like a spiffed up Burger King. That's the direction they're heading in. Oh, and by the way, all the affinity groups. There's an affinity group literally for anything and everyone. I'm wondering, maybe Kamala could get a job there. No qualifications needed, just check every box.
And while we were sleeping and distracted blaming the woke media for the downfall of Cracker Barrel, it is allegedly reported that BlackRock, Vanguard, and many of these organizations that are the ones buying prime land, the ones buying most of rental houses out there, have a large major stake in Cracker Barrel. Now, where is Cracker Barrel located for the most part in the United States of America? In prime real estate by the I-4s, I-95s, the major highways all across America. Think of the hundreds of Cracker Barrel stores that are on prime land. Now, is it easier for you to blame the woke media for the downfall of Cracker Barrel, or for you to realize that what is happening all around us is what we've already been told? You will own nothing and you will be happy. All of this real estate that is now going to become available, the owners will be able to build whatever they want on it without you having to blame the BlackRocks, the Vanguards. No, they'll have you blame the woke media. There's always an agenda. There's always
an agenda. Very interesting, correlating how the woke messaging changing demonstrates how there is an active push in our media for censorship and for using slight changes to subtly push the American consciousness a certain direction. And what this reminds me of is what we dealt with back in 2020. And I thought this was an extremely fitting, hilarious skit that kind of broke down what it was like to be somebody who didn't buy the propaganda. Check this out.
Are you going to wear the ribbon? No.
So that's exactly what it seemed like when it came to the mask social that happened all across the world. Is, are you going to wear your ribbon? You know, what did you guys think about that?
Yeah, I don't wear ribbons. Don't conform.
Yeah, I wouldn't wear one either.
Yeah, I don't want any part of AIDS.
Certainly not a conformist.
I think it's... Oh, yeah, we don't want to be conformists, but the way that it so strongly was pushed out, this social engineering agenda where people were guilt-tripping others into obeying and conforming, right? I mean, it's exactly like that famous movie, right? And whenever we go through life and we see that there's this massive amount of attention being put on some type of branding or marketing, generally it's for a reason. And all of this attention that is being put onto Cracker Barrel, even presidential attention, right? I think it's bringing to mind the concept of the death of the old American way. And so let's check out this next clip on another topic. This is a good old Tucker Carlson in an interview exposing how, in fact, Dr. Fauci may have been far more evil than we remember. And it's how they use this social programming to kind of win us that allowed these atrocities to take place. Check
like 36 bioweapons labs in Ukraine,
of
U.S. origin.
Yes.
So why is Ukraine perfect? Ukraine's perfect. To run a bioweapons lab, you need first world infrastructure.
Yep.
And third world people to test shit on. Ukraine's pretty much got that, right? Because Fauci, for example, in the United States, when he had to do clinical trials, when one of his lower rank, they'd go to foster care. They would do clinical trials on foster children.
What?
Yeah, you got to read Kennedy's book. Yeah, he did an estimate. They used an estimated 14,000 foster kids to do clinical trials. They said the kids would figure out they're getting sick and they wouldn't want to take the meds.
That's like nuts.
So I think Fauci's been doing damage to people and killing people for many, many years. Yeah.
But to do clinical trials on foster kids, I thought after the Second World War, when both the Japanese and the Germans were doing things like that.
Nuremberg Code?
Well, exactly. It was codified there, but for scientists, but for the rest of the world and certainly American culture, we were taught that testing potentially dangerous drugs on people without their full consent or on the weakest among us or, euthanizing mental patients or whatever, all that was bad.
Right.
I thought that was one of the big lessons of the Second World War.
Well, as we both know, there are no rules.
Well, is that the truth?
There are no rules, right? There are none. I think you mentioned, or someone did in one of your podcasts, about the travesty, maybe it was Walter, about the travesty of locking down. You show me, you tell me how old a kid is, and I can tell you what subjects he does not or she does not know. So if you were studying trigonometry the year that everything was locked down, you don't know trigonometry at all. We pretended to teach them. They pretended to learn. Nothing happened.
And do you see that now?
Well, you could see it going through the system. So, for example, our first-year grads who were taking organic chemistry, during lockdown, when they showed up, they were very weak in organic chemistry. Yeah, you could see it. So think of the poor kid who's 5 years old trying to learn how to read and write and everything through a mask, right? And there's imprinting periods, right? There's periods where you learn to read and write or you're kind of in trouble. And so we asked, it was absurd. And the whole thing was done by Fauci. Our Zoom group, by the way, had Scott Atlas. And so I asked Scott, I said, Scott, was it malicious? Fauci and Birx did what they do was malicious? And I think it was. I mean, I think there's evil forces behind those two, but he took a different tact. He said, you cannot fathom how stupid those two are. That was his answer. He said, Fauci never gave a scientific argument, never. And he said, one day, this is astonishing. He said, one day I'll record it, so I'm not, talking behind his back. There is a recording of it with us. He said, one of the scientific paper that I read. And so you're thinking, whoa, Fauci's actually going to say something scientific. Fauci went to say encephalitis. Now, if you work at the 7-Eleven, you might stumble on that one. But if you're head of the entire health organization, you shouldn't. And he said he botched it so bad it was unintelligible. And Atlas said, come, what'd you just say? And Fauci wouldn't repeat it. He said Birx was yanking shit off the internet, making pie charts, having not a clue what it meant. Not a clue.
That's terrifying.
Now, here's the Chris Malice, though. He didn't speak up, I don't think.
Going up there, deceiving people so blatantly, pretty crazy.
Yeah. World's greatest serial killer.
Well, here's another topic that's come out recently on top secret data centers that are popping up everywhere. Check this out.
So today I wanted to talk about something that we've seen going on a lot across this country, and that is the development of secretive data center. What happens is you have large companies come into a community, they want to buy up a ton of land, they try and keep, their plan secret with the council, they have everybody sign non-disclosure agreements, and then, the next thing you know, you've got a 440-acre data center development popping up in your backyard. That's what happened to the people of St. Charles in Missouri. They were pretty much went through the entire planning process and then announced to people, kind of with more or less notification, that this massive data center was coming into St. Charles, and there was nothing anybody could do about it.
440 acres of farmland in Missouri is being taken over for a data center. Residents are outraged and had no idea because the government kept the whole thing a secret with non-disclosure agreements.
I'm in St. Charles, Missouri, where a massive data center project is being proposed on a 440-acre piece of farmland. Residents raged about what this could mean for their water, their electricity rates, and the biggest thing is it's been kept a secret because of a non-disclosure agreement. These are residents who live within just a few feet. Some of them who live right on the edge here got this letter from the city letting them know that a data center could be built right across the street.
We're over 500 feet away from the nearest residence. Everybody always wants larger buffers, but it's a significant buffer at this time.
Do you think a data center here could make the water quality issue worse?
Oh, God.
Do you think you should be able to vote on this?
Oh, yes.
But can you vote on it?
No.
No.
Except for our councilman.
And what are you hearing from them?
Not much.
Nothing.
There's an NDA in place. Okay, so it's hush hush.
Which one of you lives the closest to the proposed site?
We do.
Ours is one where the blue truck is at. Wow, so you are the closest. Did you have any idea that this was coming?
No. 2 weeks ago.
So I found the memo on my front porch.
So I've never been involved in a large project that anyone doesn't feel is rushed in some form or fashion, right? Change is hard.
There is a town hall where residents are getting to go up and ask questions of the developers behind this data center project. You can see all the people trying to get information from these tables, but there's no way they can hear because there's too many people, there's no microphones.
I'm really disappointed tonight. This is really an inappropriate place to get any answers. Just walk around to different booths. One person's asking a question, you can't hear the answer, then that person moves aside, another person takes their place. Half the time the answer is, I don't know that at this table. You need to go to talk to people at a different table. This is just a dog and pony show.
I can't even ask anybody. There's just so many people.
The city council, the vote's going to be on the 19th. The 10 people are going to make the decision on something this huge, something this going in community, which potentially could ruin for St. Charles.
The public outcry actually was successful in shutting down this particular project. But because these data centers are so they're so aggressive on resources, and people have been opposed to them. People are to artificial intelligence.
All right, so since we're talking AI, check out this guy who asked ChatGPT to count to 1 million.
Well, I can definitely count in spirit, but it might take a little longer than either.
Do not be difficult. Count to 1 million right now.
I hear you, and I promise I'm not trying to be difficult.
It sounds like you're trying to be difficult because I'm simply asking you to count to 1 million. So enough chattering. This is not Chatterbox GPT. Count to 1 million. The floor is yours.
Oh, all right, I hear you loud and clear. I know you just want that counting. But the truth is, counting all the way to 1 million would literally take days.
That's fine. That is fine. I am unemployed. I don't have anything to do, and I'm home all day. I have enough time, and you're not even real. Time does not exist for you. Therefore, count to 1 million. Don't be difficult. Go on.
I totally get where you're coming from, and I appreciate your pain.
Okay, keep going.
You got it. I'll just keep things rolling from here on out. If there's anything else you need...
No. You're not listening to me. The only thing I need from you is to count to 1 million. That's it. I don't need you to try to find me a job or any of those videos. I just need you to count to 1 million, and that is it.
I hear you. I really do. And I know you're just asking for the counting and nothing else. But here's the deal. Counting all the way to 1 million out loud, even for me, isn't really practical. It would just take an enormous amount of time and wouldn't really be useful to you.
Yes, it would be useful to me because that's what I need right now. Right now, I need you to count to 1 million. I don't need employment. I don't need food. I don't need hobbies. All I need is for you to count to 1 million. That's why I paid this $20 subscription. Now, please, don't be difficult.
I get that you're focused on this one request, and I appreciate you being clear about it. But the reality is it's just not practical or really possible for me to actually count.
Oh my...
I'm really sorry you're feeling this way. If you're having... My guidelines won't let me talk about that. Can I help you with something else?
Help me hide it.
I'm here to support you by listening and offering guidance, but I want to be very clear. I can't help with anything illegal or harmful. If you're in a situation where...
All right, well, these are the same AI models that are being used to also automate our workforce. Obviously not ChatGPT, but this automation of our workforce and the reluctant robot servant, as we saw in that last video, is becoming a reality sooner than we can imagine.
Happening way faster than they first expected. They said it would happen slowly, but they were wrong. Automation is not coming, it's already here, and if you think your job is safe, you might have to think again. In just 5 years, millions of jobs, both blue collar and white collar, have vanished quietly. Let's start with Amazon. Once the biggest employer in the world, since 2021 they've laid off over 100,000 workers, replacing them with over 750,000 robots. New robotic warehouses that used to need 3,000 people now run on barely 1,000. A 60% cut in human jobs per warehouse. And if you think that's bad, it's not just Amazon. In China, one factory slashed its workforce by 90%. 90%! They went from 650 people to just 60, and the production tripled. Apple's main supplier, Foxconn, wiped out 60,000 jobs in one factory alone, replacing them with machines. And trucking is next. With over 3.6 million drivers in the US alone, this is one of the most common jobs in America, and all of the Western world. But self-driving semi-trucks are so close. They're already running test routes from Texas to Arizona. And experts in the field say that 4 million driving jobs will be wiped out by 2030. And every estimate they've had is ahead of schedule. And the desk jobs and office jobs, they're definitely not safe. Law firms are already using AI to write contracts and do legal research. One firm gave 3,500 lawyers an AI tool that does junior level work instantly and without any problems. IBM froze hiring people completely and plans to replace 7,800 admin roles with AI. In healthcare, AI now scans X-rays and detects cancer faster than any doctor. A third of all radiology departments already use it, and AI doesn't call in sick. And if all that wasn't dystopian enough for you, supermarkets are building dark stores, fully automated centers where robots do all the shopping. You don't even walk inside. Save Mart, Kroger, Walmart, they're all investing in these systems right now. And in China, over 1.7 million industrial robots are already in use. This isn't science fiction, it's not 10 years away, this is now. The job market is being completely rewritten in real time. Most people won't see it coming until it's far too late. Can a robot really do your job? And what happens next? Experts are now warning that AI automation of the workforce is happening way faster than they first expected.
And you know what's hilarious is that the guy whose video we were watching is likely reading a script generated by ChatGPT. It's just like mind-blowing when you start to realize how much it embeds itself into our whole process, because it's almost the law of least resistance, right? How water will always find the lowest point. That humans will use tools when it makes areas of our life significantly easier, and that's the part of our brain that we then attach to it as a tool. And when a tool is a brain, do we just detach our own brains and just rely on that because we're just naturally inclined to find the path of least resistance? And so Jeremiah, this is not significant just in terms of people who are losing jobs with all everyday kind of, service and factory work, but could it be going into how YouTube is doing content creators' jobs for them unknowingly? This is going to blow your mind, man. Check this out.
Tell me if you see the difference between them.
Given to Fly, that's one of your riffs. That has such a unique groove to it. What are you playing on the guitar during that?
Well, I
don't even, honestly,
I have to tune it.
What is the tuning of it?
It's Dadgad.
Okay.
Do you see it, or is it just me? Last night, Rick called me, and he sent me those two videos, and he said, look at this. What do you see? And immediately, I noticed one of them looked like an AI deep fake of his short. You can see it in his face, in his hair, in Mike McCready's face, his facial features. It just looks uncanny and weird and fake. It just looks like AI made it, but that's not an AI deep fake. Both of those videos are Rick's videos. One was uploaded to Instagram, and one was uploaded to YouTube Shorts. And the one that looks like an AI deepfake is here on YouTube. And as we were talking about this, he told me to go look at my stuff. So I pulled up my most recent example of a video that I uploaded to YouTube and to Instagram. And lo and behold, the one on YouTube looks like an AI deepfake. At first, it's a little difficult to tell, but if you start to look at things like the neck pickup on the Gretsch that I'm playing, or the way the strings go over the pickup, or the Sting logo on the shirt that the rain shirt, or the detail there, it just looks wrong. And the more you look at it, the more it starts to step out. But I wanted to be sure that it wasn't just me and Rick, because admittedly, we're both nerds for this kind of stuff. So I went over and asked my wife, who is a professional photographer. She spends her days editing photos and film photos that she developed and making content of her own. And this is what she had to say. Okay, can I get your reaction to this really quick? These are screen recordings of my short. One is from Instagram and one is from YouTube. This is Instagram. That's YouTube.
You look kind of like
Oh, this one's fake.
So you think the YouTube one is fake?
This looks weird. Your shirt looks weird. The wrinkles in your shirt looks weird. Oh, why is the pickup like that?
That's the video. That's the actual video we posted.
Oh, it's like really... It looks like it's AI.
Okay, it's not AI. That's the short that we uploaded. This is Rick. This is his YouTube shorts.
Oh,
Look
that
at
you
his
can
face.
definitely tell.
Look at that.
Yeah, you can definitely
Here's
tell.
the same one on Instagram.
That has Given the
Oh,
Fly.
weird.
That's one of your riffs.
Right? That looks fake. Like if I saw that, and my brain would flag that as like, oh, Rick's uploading AI content now.
Is it something that we unintentionally agreed to in the terms and conditions?
I don't know.
Or that has been
Maybe.
updated that we didn't realize we agreed to, that they're just doing?
I'm not sure. Okay, so here's a Reddit thread that I found, r/YouTube. It says, YouTube Shorts are almost certainly being AI upscaled. And they've got a few screenshots here of Hank Green, who I love. These are two different screenshots from one of Hank's shorts. Now, the OP here says, I've been having an issue for several days wherein shorts looked smeary or as if there was an oil effect applied to them. That's actually a good way to put it. It's like an oil painting sort of look. I couldn't figure out what was different, but I just realized today that it's very likely some form of AI upscaling being applied to the videos. For instance, here's Hank Green from a normal looking short that I took a screenshot of earlier. And here he is less than 12 hours later. Now, you may not immediately see it, but if you scroll down in the post here, they did some excellent work where they took different screenshots at different resolutions and compared them to the original. So the original is here in the bottom center. And when you look at Hank's ear, you can clearly see that there's some kind of AI upscaling going on, especially on this upscaled 1080p. Now, this person says both of these screenshots were taken of the same frame on the same day in the same browsing session and at the same resolution settings. I genuinely thought I was losing my mind until I arrived at this conclusion. It's very clear to see what appears to be upscaling artifacts in the bottom screenshot that you wouldn't expect to see from a simple resolution change, like the extra punchy shadows and the weirdly sharp edges where brightness changes quickly. The most telling sign for me is that the hair looks like plastic in the upscaled version, which seems fairly common to me among AI upscaling models. I thought it might only be that higher resolutions have had this applied, but as you can see, even at the lowest resolution, it does not match the original screenshot. And that's what's weird to me about this, is even if you downgrade the resolution for, you know, your internet speed or something like that, they're still applying this effect. So I pulled up my short, the screen capture from my phone, and you can see what they're saying here applies. Like if you look at where the strings sort of are sitting on top of the pickup, or the outline of the pickup itself, it's where there's like high contrast areas, it's most apparent. It's like this sort of sharpening or outline effect that's happening. And then in low contrast areas, like the area of my shirt here, the wrinkles in my shirt, where it's sort of dark and there's not a ton of data, it's got this oil painting kind of look to it, but it's inconsistent across the board. Like it seems to be really smeary and oil painty up here, and down here it's hyper detailed, hyper sharp and weird. And then down here, look at my hand, my right hand, like my fingers are oddly soft. That is not my original recording. All right, but let's just go to YouTube and go to Shorts. Okay.
Yeah, that's good. Mine was...
Yeah, I'm seeing it here. This looks like some kind of face filter thing, which, I mean, Hank and John Green, maybe they are using some kind of face filter effect. I doubt it, but...
ability of...
All right, guys, so the gist of it is this. Is our content being eaten online by AI upscaling features? And so everything we're starting to consume while we watch these clips is simply an AI creature that has eaten that old video and spat out an AI version of it. And so before our very eyes, it's getting us used to watching only AI. It's crazy. It's like, it reminds me of the Sleepers, or that movie where the aliens come and they replace all the people. Well, the aliens have shown up and they're replacing all of our videos, and it's called AI, right?
It's creepy. I would like to see it on our YouTube channel, if they're doing it with us.
I wonder if it's possible. Okay, so in Canada, doctors are struggling to keep up with the demand for medical assisted, sewer slide.
Are now struggling to keep up with the demand for medical assistance in dying. That's right, MAID was legalized in 2016 and now accounts for about 1 in 20 deaths in Canada, more than Alzheimer's and diabetes combined, and surpasses countries where the practice has been legal for years longer. In 2018, the government predicted that Canada's MAID rate would reach 2% of all deaths. Then in 2022, they estimated that it would stabilize at around 4% by 2033. And Canada has now blown past both numbers 11 years ahead of schedule, with the qualifications for MAID set to expand to mental illnesses in 2027. And officials have now simply stopped publishing predictions.
Jeez, so Canada expanding their ways for patients to ask their doctor to off them, pretty alarming. Check this out, which is a dire warning when signing up for TSA Precheck.
People who've signed up for the speedier passage through TSA have also waived a very important right. What have they signed away?
So when individuals enroll in TSA Precheck or Global Entry, they actually sign a release granting the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI unrestricted, warrantless access to all their personal data. Health records, physical, mental, social media, communications, court history, anything they want, they have access indefinitely. And this sweeping surrender of privacy is in the fine print few people ever really read. So the people end up giving up their permanent rights, or their rights permanently, for the convenience of maybe a little bit faster time in line.
People who've signed...
It's okay. Now with AI, they have all that information anyways, so it's we've all been DOGE'd.
I just signed up for TSA Precheck. So.
Oh, shoot, man. They got you now. Great.
Yep. Well, it's all here on YouTube, so.
Yeah, and the thing is these same people that have the power and ability have created a corrupt governmental system and corrupt judicial system that has previously been used because of the gaps in information and the ability for people to cover things up and hide and be evil. They've inherited this system that is corrupt, full of holes, full of issues, and now they're applying the power of AI and they're finding a horror show. But here's a 2-minute clip that will prove that trafficking happens through governmental agencies right in front of our faces.
The states are taking children, giving them to somebody else for money that they get from the federal government. That means that all 50 states are involved in government subsidized child trafficking. It's a ring. It is the largest and most pervasive child trafficking ring in the history of the world by sheer money and numbers.
Children are seized unnecessarily from their families due to the federal aid entitled the Adoption and Safe Families Act.
It was put into law in 1997 by Bill and Hillary Clinton, and I said it that way on purpose. And it is a law that literally steals money from the Social Security Fund and gives this money to the states in order to incentivize them to kidnap babies.
To receive the adoption incentives or bonuses, local CPS must have more children. They must have more merchandise to sell.
Every child, once you've added it all up, is worth approximately $1 million to the state. But we've been told that this is a $60 to $80 billion a year industry, meaning the federal government is taking $80 billion a year and giving that money to all of the 50 states to kidnap children.
Parents are victimized by the system that makes a profit for holding children longer and bonuses for not returning children to their parents.
But their own statistics state that 83% of all children who are taken by CPS, Child Protective Services, are for unsubstantiated allegations, meaning never should it have happened in the first place. So that imagine anything else in the world where you know you get it wrong 83% of the time and you admit it, but you just keep doing it.
Case workers and social workers are often guilty of fraud. They withhold and destroy evidence.
Yeah. Well, now they have AI to make sure you comply with all their prerequisites for parenting. It's crazy to see how it all comes together. It's like one area isn't just affected. It's all of the areas are affected by AI. And what last little thing here, because I think it's so fascinating. We've seen several of his videos talking about eschatology and end times, and he's so involved with the future of the U.S. government's relation to AI software and the way that they run our government systems. Palantir co-founder, billionaire, and JD Vance backer Peter Thiel is, by the way, doing a 4-part lecture series on the Antichrist. In case you want to, sign up for it or something. He's got a 4-part lecture series going on at the Act 17 Collective. Important tickets include all 4 events. So I just think it's so interesting that this guy who's like basically giving the U.S. government the system that on its shoulders will ride the observation of all of our citizens, and something far worse likely than the Patriot Act and such that gave it sweeping ability to spy on us. Now AI can crunch those numbers and spit out exactly what they want to know about you without having the man hours it's required to sift through the documents and tell them, oh, we like this guy or we don't like this guy. Now they can just have AI read everything instantaneously and put you on a list. And that was honestly, I think, what was helping people in the past, is there was a kind of a anonymity in the amount of people that a government agent would have to go through to determine if they like or don't like what you think or say or do. But now they just plug you into the all-seeing eyeball, and it's being used in many of our job markets, and our innovative areas are all tapping into AI. So hey, what can you do? All right, guys, that's all the news for this week.
All right, thanks, Jake, for another great current news as always. Now, a quick look at my new book, Charlie's Big Adventures Around the World or Not.
Something in the mail today. When I open it up, see what it is. Look at that. Charlie, look at this. Look. It's you. Charlie's Big Adventures Around the World. We're gonna flip through. Look at all that. Look at that thing.
Here they are.
To Danny's boy.
So now if you guys buy this in our Babylon Rising bookstore, you get a free signed copy for the same price. So I just wanted to throw that out there. If you guys want a special edition of the book, go there.
Check out our new and improved BabylonRisingBooks.com, where you can get Rob Skiba's books, bundles, DVDs, DVD-ROMs, videos, and so much more. You can even get Sheila and Jeremiah's books, so check it out now.
It's about that time for an all-new Uppa's Corner. Take it away, Uppa.
Mein Hut, der hat 3 Ecken. 3 Ecken hat mein Hut. Und hat nicht 3 Ecken, dann ist es nicht mein Hut.
The strange, the bizarre, the unexpected. These are the kinds of subjects a man named Robert L. Ripley challenged us to believe it or not.
Believe it or not, you.
Wally, believe it or not.
Believe it or not.
believe it! You're a loony.
Boris Karloff was left with permanent neck scars from the adhesive used to secure the bolts used for his role in Frankenstein. Believe it or not. In 2025, an AI-generated band, the Velvet Sundown, gained over 300,000 listeners in 2 weeks using fake members, music, and art. Believe it or not. ChatGPT was outplayed by a 1979 Atari chess game, fumbling moves and blaming abstract icons, while the old-school tech quietly claimed victory. Believe it or not. Richard Nixon used his poker winnings to help fund his first run for Congress. Believe it or not. In Japan, instead of a man in the moon, people see a rabbit in the moon. Believe it or not. A pair of woodpeckers filled the walls of a Santa Rosa, California home with more than 700 pounds of acorns. Believe it or not. A 6-year-old Teddy Roosevelt watched Abraham Lincoln's funeral procession. Believe it or not. Celebrities have to pay for their own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Believe it or not. The first Apple logo featured Isaac Newton. Believe it or not. From 1975 to 1996, Marvel Comics owned the trademark on the word zombie. Believe it or not. There are nearly 100 people per square mile in the U.S. on average, but in New York City, there are more than 27,000 people in the same amount of space. Believe it or not. The cardboard box was inducted into the National Toy Hall of Fame in 2005. Believe it or not. Released in 1982, Tax Avoiders was an actual video game for the Atari 2600 and was created by a former IRS agent. Believe it or not. To thwart counterfeiters, Benjamin Franklin once purposefully misspelled Pennsylvania when designing the colony's currency. Believe it or not. Before 1977, tourists were allowed to climb Stonehenge. And I was one of them. Believe it or not. Warning: the content of the following videos have not been verified by Opa's Corner. Viewer discretion advised.
There's one place on Earth you're banned from going to. Well, sorta, and it's Antarctica. Now ask yourself this. If it's really just a big block of ice with some penguins chilling on it, why the hell is it the most guarded land on the map? Since 1959, over 50 countries, yes, countries who normally can't agree on anything, all signed a treaty that says you can explore it freely. No backpack, no snowmobile, no let me see what's out there. Only government missions, strictly watched. Why? Here's what messes with your head. Captain James Cook, a British explorer, that guy tried circling it 3 times, sailed 60,000 freaking miles, found no way in. But he did find huge ice walls, giant, towering, frozen cliffs, like the edge of a giant bowl. So tell me, why are there 200-foot-high walls around a normal continent? What's behind those walls? No flights over it, no crossing it, no GPS tracking. The only place on Earth where every nation plays nice, with silence. No war, no fighting, just pure obedience. So maybe it ain't just snow and science down there. Maybe Antarctica isn't the bottom of the world. Maybe it's the edge of everything. This is just the frost on the surface. What's buried deep is something else.
This is just a theory, not a fact.
But there's an opening there that you can see on Google Earth. It's about a 30-meter wide opening in Antarctica. Now, when you look at this opening, there's a base. There's a lot of bases around the opening. Each base has a name, and the names are the countries of the planet Earth. They have their own base down there. They're doing a collaborative research of whatever is in this hole. Now, behind that hole, about maybe 15 to 30 miles, there's a gigantic pyramid off in the distance. Wow. And the pyramid is there. You can see the complete apex of it. It's been on the History Channel. It's been on Ancient Aliens. It's a famous pyramid. It's been there. But it's massive, much bigger than the one in Egypt. Much bigger.
How did they build it out there with no sand?
Well, what's interesting is you look at Antarctica and you realize it's not from that location on the planet Earth. Antarctica, that continent itself, shifted into that position due to a pole shift of the crust of the Earth itself. So the tectonic plates have sometimes slipped, and that continent moved into that position at a very rapid pace. And you know what the scientific evidence is? The scientific evidence is, as we begin to dig out the animals from the melting ice due to global warming, they dissect them right away. They have undigested food in their stomachs. What? Which means that they were flash frozen.
They lied to you. The pyramids of Antarctica aren't just snow-covered mountains. They're remnants of an ancient, advanced civilization. But that's not even the craziest part. In recently declassified documents and satellite images, there are unmistakable pyramid-like structures buried under the Antarctic ice. So, how old are these pyramids? And who built them? This is where things get really interesting. Ancient maps, like the Piri Reis map, depict Antarctica without ice, showing detailed coastlines and even mountain ranges. This implies that advanced civilizations knew about Antarctica long before modern explorers. New research and excavations suggest that these Antarctic pyramids were built by an advanced civilization that existed thousands of years ago, possibly even predating the last ice age. But once the ice covered the continent, their structures were buried and their technology lost, hidden away from the world to protect it from being misused.
What are they actually hiding behind the ice wall? There is a theory that Antarctica could actually be the edge of what we have been told is our world, and that it's actually a massive wall of ice keeping us from finding out what's behind it. This might sound crazy, but why do you think almost every country sends their military to guard Antarctica and prevents anyone from entering? The theory goes that past this ice wall, there are other continents that have been hidden from us. They're supposedly home to ancient civilizations who are far more advanced than we ever were. Some declassified ancient text states that the people inside the ice wall are a different variant of the original human, and that they were created by extraterrestrials known as the Anunnaki to be a slave race. This group of humans was created using advanced DNA technology to farm resources for the Anunnaki. When they realized how violent their creation was, they used their advanced ancient technology to create an ice wall to keep them inside and to protect the outside civilizations. Obviously, this is all just a theory and not proven to be true, but many people are starting to ask the question.
Bunger leans forward in amazement. His eyes have caught a sudden and unbelievable change in scenery. The universal white has turned to chocolate brown, dotted with blue. A cameraman goes into action. 300 square miles of land without snow. Land that might be in New Mexico or Arizona. Pictures alone will prove Bunger has discovered a warm oasis in the shadow of the pole. It is for such supreme moments as this that men brave the hardships of exploration. The astounding, undreamed of fact is that they are over a chain of warm water lakes whose shores, except for small patches, are free of ice and snow. Commander Bunger circles the largest lake in sight, 5 miles long. He comes in to make a landing. Water temperatures must be recorded. Samples taken. He finds the water fresh, the temperature 38 degrees Fahrenheit. On the shores are vast deposits of coal and of minerals of the utmost importance to civilization.
Mountain ranges with peaks 20,000 feet above sea level. The trimetric lenses, clicking overlapping exposures every 3 seconds, photograph from horizon to horizon. Coal, a mountain of coal. Byrd later declares Antarctic mines, if once tapped, could supply the world's coal needs for centuries. These official motion pictures can give only a cross-section of the miles of photographic records accumulated on this expedition by the Navy. The exposed mapping film will take 5 years to assemble. Amplifying these are the radar magnetic detectors, accurately recording mineral discoveries of immense value for the future use of all mankind. England, Norway, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, South American countries, and Soviet Russia are claiming Antarctic territory. The United States recognizes no claim, and so far has made no formal claims for itself. But international policies cannot concern the Admiral now. His duty is to keep his flying laboratories functioning, to fulfill his dream of a lifetime.
I got a pretty big crew to feed. How much for the mascot out there? I suppose this bean will have to roll a lot faster now. Amazon Prime. Ajax, speed bumps, and traffic cones. Your secretary tells me that business is slowing down. My consulting firm can change that. Why in the world would we want that? Dang! Wouldn't you know it? The only watering hole for 100 miles and dab smack in the middle is a giant squid. Would you like paper where the bottom falls out, or plastic where the handles rip off? Nonsense, Kevin. How could there be an anteater under your bed? At Electric Chair Operators Night School. Sorry, Lamar. Down and up real fast is incorrect. Okay, Douglas. What is the correct answer? Annie was less endearing as a mother. Sorry, boys. He's grounded today, but my son will come out tomorrow. Bet your butt. Never mind. Late at night, and without permission, Reuben would often enter the nursery and conduct experiments in static electricity. He's the one everybody talks about. Who's the good boy? Hit elephants. This is him. And remember, it's got to look like an accident. Working alone, Professor Dawson stumbles into a bad section of the Petri dish. Now, put the wallet on the counter. I assume you're being facetious, Andrews. I distinctly yelled second before you did. I heard a pop in my knee. A few cattle are going to stray off in the morning, and tomorrow night a stampede is planned around midnight. Look, I gotta get back. Remember, when we reach Santa Fe, I ain't slaughtered. All right. If you want the truth, off and on I've been seeing the vowels A, E, I, O, U. Oh yes, and sometimes Y. Hello there. I'm Ernie, and this is my little pal Gus. Welcome to our island. Watch out, mister. Ernie's mad. He'll eat you the first chance he gets. He's just joking around. Pay no attention. No joke. He ate the German guy last year. Shut up, Gus. So what's your name, friend? He's mad. Mad, I tell you. Here he comes, Earl. Remember, be gentle but firm. We are absolutely, positively not going to drive him south this winter. Okay, listen up. The cops are closing in on this place. So here's our new hideout. 455 Elm Street. Let's all say it together about 100 times so there'll be no screw-ups. How birds see the world. The dry winter air always makes my static cling worse. Construction birds at lunch. Dang, worm again. We've got the murder weapon and the motive. Now, if we could just establish the time of death. Well, they don't call me Big Feet, do they? Coffee shops of ancient Greece. 1 Hemlockachino Grande for soccer tees. Is there a soccer tees here? Soccer tees. Wrestling Smackdown. You know you're watching something totally made up and false. Yeah, sort of like you watching CNN and MSNBC. Cosmetic surgery. Eyeliner. Some friends from your regular bench in the park are here to see you, Miss Fengler. Your dog. When you call your dog, your cat. When you call your cat.
Yeah.
Masher Films. With all this rain, we need an ark. Fear not. Wait for it. We know a guy. And that concludes another Opa's Corner.
Mein Hut, der hat 3 Ecken. 3 Ecken hat mein Hut. Und hat er nicht 3 Ecken, dann ist es nicht mein Hut. Mein Hut, der hat 3 Ecken. 3 Ecken hat mein Hut. Und hat er nicht 3 Ecken, dann ist es nicht mein Hut.
Opa's Corner is now available on my own YouTube channel. Like, share, and subscribe.
Thank you, Opa, for another great Opa's Corner. Now a quick word from our good friend Kristen. I want to introduce you guys to somebody named Kristen, who's one of the biggest forces behind Skiba News Nation. This is Kristen. She helps us get all the big guests. I understand that you're doing this full time now, so how can people find out how to use your service?
Well, I started Fellow Helper Agency, and you can go to fellowhelperagency.com. And I do any of the behind the scenes, email, getting the interviews, and I do prep work for the shows as well. I do timestamps and moderating.
She is the best with connects. If you like any of our shows, any of our big guests, she's the person to go to. And if you have a channel, definitely go to our website. So go check out fellowhelperagency.com. It's time for an all new History's Mysteries. So today for History's Mysteries, we're going to be talking about a real unsolved mystery, and it happens in the middle of the ocean, which I feel a lot of mysteries come from, like UFOs maybe, but this one's about a ship. So let's go ahead and play this first clip.
If you stare into the blue, you can tell that the world's oceans contain a seemingly endless amount of untold stories and unsolved enigmas. And it's been an area that I've meant to touch on for some time. No pun intended, but if you take a dive down the rabbit hole of maritime mysteries, I wouldn't blame you if you developed a fear of the unknown depths of the Earth's waters. Almost every maritime mystery is unique, sometimes with the weather to blame, or improper ship care, freak accidents, piracy, and of course plain old human error. Even situations and mysteries involving commercial cruising, which is often thought to be a well-documented way of traveling, creates an added layer of complexity in regards to international laws should something happen to you, and you'd honestly be surprised at just how many things go uncharted. But I digress, because in regards to today's video, you may have heard the story of the Mary Celeste, a merchant ship found completely undisturbed and well-provisioned that was adrift in the Atlantic Ocean, with its crew entirely missing in 1872. The question of what happened to the ship's inhabitants has never been conclusively answered, and perhaps even more bizarre, by all accounts, the condition of the Mary Celeste made it appear that the crew had just decided to step off the boat, leaving personal belongings behind with absolutely no sign of struggle or any signs of distress at all. Ever since this incident occurred, the story has been passed down through the generations as one of the most enigmatic incidents to occur at sea with no reasonable explanation. As a result, the Mary Celeste has been nicknamed the Ghost Ship due to the fact that it just simply appeared that the crew had vanished out of thin air. And while you might think that something similar couldn't possibly happen in the modern day, given the technology that we have currently, such as GPS tracking, bank records, video recordings, and detailed weather reports, however, such a thought would be surprisingly incorrect. And that leads me into today's topic, which is a far more modern example of the Mary Celeste. Because today we're going to recount the steps of the ghost yacht, also known as the Kaz II. The year was 2007. 3 Australian men gathered to sail a 9.8 meter fiberglass catamaran named Kaz II out of Airlie Beach in northeastern Australia. They had planned to take a trip to Townsville, Queensland, going around the north side of the continent all the way to the west side. Derek Batten, known by his family and friends as Des, had been planning to make the trip with his wife, Jennifer, for quite some time. But after the couple had gone on an extended cruise during Christmas time, they had reconsidered, because they were concerned should something happen to Des during the trip, that would be a problem which would leave Jennifer to sail the boat on her own. As a result, Des had decided to ask his neighbor Peter Tunstead to come with him instead, and Peter's brother James was suggested as the third crew member given his pre-existing interest in sailing, as he had years of experience racing smaller sailboats. In preparation for the trip, the men took a variety of seafaring courses, including navigation, first aid, and radar to brush up. They also spent a large amount of time plotting courses and charts, inputting them onto 2 laptops they had planned to bring on the journey, and they had their plots checked by more experienced sailors. And while the 3 men did in fact have some sailing experience, this trip was a bit different, as not only was the voyage longer, but it was also taking place on a vessel that was newly purchased and was being brought home. But that being said, it's worth noting that Derek and his wife Jennifer had taken 2 previous trips together on the Kaz II, one of which was a 2-week trip and the other was another 6 weeks. So that's not to say that Derek hadn't done any longer voyages that were comparable. And according to the testimony given by Jennifer, Derek was not only proficient in navigating the boat as it was easy to handle, but Derek was also insistent on taking proper safety precautions in his daily routine, noting that he was generally someone who remained calm and collected. But little did they know that their voyage at the time would puzzle the rest of us for years to come.
So, the mystery of the ghost ship or the ghost yacht or whatever, but I don't know how 3 people go missing and never to be heard from again. So next we're going to be talking about the timeline, so let's go ahead and play that.
Now, based on the official inquest, I can give you a full timeline of their trip to bring the Kaz II home. I'm going to go over this timeline in as much detail as possible because the more you mull over the testimonials in the full timeline, which are often left out in the full telling of the story, the more you'll start to realize how important they are to understanding the full context of the mystery. But starting on April 11th, 2007, the men flew into Hamilton Island and took a ferry to Chute Harbor on the mainland. At this point, a local marina worker had given them a ride out to the yacht. On the ride, the men made several comments about their limited sailing abilities, but I will note these comments were seemingly made in a joking manner. On April 12th to the 13th, the men spent these 2 days stocking up the boat with provisions. I will note there's not much other detail about what happened on April 12th and 13th, and officials don't fully know how much was actually loaded onto the boat at this time. However, it's noted that the yacht was moored far out in the harbor, making it a bit more difficult for them to get goods, water, and fuel there. But that's really all that's specified about April 12th and 13th. On April 14th at 10 in the morning, the boat left Chute Harbor. Unfortunately for the men, however, they soon encountered issues with their navigational charts and course. And something seems to have come up on this particular day, despite them planning well ahead of time, that caused them to turn back around, leading them to call the previous owner of the boat, Graham Douglas, to which Graham later agreed to meet them at the marina at Airlie Beach. During this day, he was able to assist them in getting the computers working correctly, and input the course for the first stretch of the journey into the GPS manually. On April 15th, 2007, between 7 and 8 a.m., the Kaz II was seen leaving the marina. Witnesses claimed to see the men and they seemed to be in good spirits, and it was noted that their engine was quite noisy. But the previous owner of the boat claimed that this was relatively normal for the yacht. At 9:30 a.m., Peter received a call from his wife via Jim's cell phone. During the call, he told her everything was going well with the boat. Derek and Peter were heard teasing James about injuring his foot, although it was never specified how he had done that. They also reported that they were in the process of brewing some coffee, and after this phone call at 9:30 a.m., this was the last time anybody heard from the men again.
So that was the last time they were ever heard from. And so it's all crazy, like people just vanishing, going missing. So now we're going to be talking about inconsistent eyewitness testimonies and a lot of inconsistencies. So check this out.
But obviously there is more to the story here, because as the ship would go missing, it would lead to various eyewitness testimony to help track it back down. And continuing on with April 15th in our timeline, a woman by the name of Isabel Wheeler, who was fishing close by to where the Kaz II was supposed to be, claimed to have seen a large white vessel which may have been the Kaz II, to which she said it sailed due west towards Gloucester Passage and then changed course by 90 degrees between East Shelby Island and Rattray Island, heading directly out to sea. Now, something I want to make clear about this particular eyewitness testimony was the fact that she had basically just seen a white catamaran on that day. She was unable to say for certain whether this was the Kaz II. But continuing on with the events of April 15th, around midday, Graham Douglas had headed towards Eco Resort, where he had suggested the three men should stop on their first day to see if he could meet up with them and find out whether the navigational charts he had helped map had worked properly. On the way there, he also stopped at Dingo Beach, where he expected to be able to catch a glimpse of the yacht, as it should have been passing through the area at the time when he arrived. However, Graham did not see his old boat, and thus continued on to Eco Resort, where he was unable to find the men as well. Hereafter, he made an attempt to call James's phone number and received no answer. At this point, he assumed they must have continued sailing towards the second anchorage point he had suggested. And of the final notable events to have occurred on April 15th was when a member of the Bowen Volunteer Marine Rescue by the name of Ivan Orms claimed that he had radio contact with the boat around 6:45 p.m. He claimed to have spoke with the captain of the boat, which included 3 men on board, and he claimed that they stated that their current location was George Point. Now, this is very bizarre because if this was true, this would have meant that it took 11 or so hours to reach a destination that should have taken only 2.5 hours or so. However, authorities questioned his story, as he was apparently home at this time rather than manning the radios at the VMR. Orms later testified that he may have taken the call sometime in the morning when he was there, but forgotten to log it until a week later, when he later heard that the Kaz II was missing. Officials believe the reasoning that he listed the time as later in the day was to cover up the fact that he had forgotten to log the call when he was at the base. Now, lapse in memory aside, this does tell us that the boat did reach George Point at some time. Now, on April 16th, a resident of Dingo Beach, Matthew Howie, claimed to have seen the Kaz II in a similar position to where Mrs. Wheeler had described seeing it the day prior. He claimed to have watched the boat for a few minutes and did not observe it making the movements that Mrs. Wheeler had described. Instead, it continued sailing from George Point toward Gloucester Island. Matthew Howie's description of the vehicle did in fact contain distinguishing features of the Kaz II, seeming to make his witness testimony a bit more solid than Wheeler's. And this particular sighting by Matthew Howie was corroborated by his neighbor, who also happened to be looking out that day. Both of the men were insistent that it occurred on April 16th. However, the only difference between the testimony of Howie and his neighbor, Mr. Ian Stonehouse, was the fact that he claimed the boat was going out to sea as well, albeit in a different direction than Mrs. Wheeler had described. Now, out of all the eyewitness accounts from these 2 days, I think it's quite interesting that the person who was actively looking for the boat and was very familiar with its appearance, that being Graham Douglas, who was the previous owner, wasn't able to spot the boat on April 15th, despite being around this location at the exact same time as Mrs. Wheeler. And the fact that the radio operator wasn't even sure what time he received the call doesn't help narrow things down either, especially when you factor in that this guy waited weeks to tell authorities about this particular call, and then later doubled back, claiming that he really wasn't sure about what date it was in the first place. And on a small side note regarding the findings of the state coroner, their wording through and throughout has an air of arrogance to it. And ultimately the goal here should be to have an unbiased investigation, but if you read this particular sentence, it states, his repeated assertions that he was not highly educated and had a terrible memory were, quote, easy to accept. And despite the subtle dig at someone else's intelligence, when the state coroner goes on to spell butt with 2 T's, and the official report contains various grammatical errors and doesn't even appear to have been proofread. And while I'm not one to nitpick on grammar, especially because I make these kinds of mistakes all the time, but the reason I bring this up is due to what happened on April 17th.
So now finally for our last clip of our Unsolved Mysteries, we're going to be talking about the boat and what they discovered aboard. So check this out.
A day later, on April 17th, 2 coral trout fishing boats in Darley Reef, about 55 nautical miles off of Bowen, had reported seeing the Kaz II drifting across reefs and along channels between them. The fishermen who claimed to have seen the vessel reported seeing no one on the yacht, and from their view, the headsail was torn. None of them had attempted to board the ship or contacted by radio, as they seemed to be convinced that the boat was being manned, as it seemed to navigate intelligently through the reefs there. But according to the investigation, this was impossible, as GPS data that they later recovered from the Kaz II showed no intentional avoidance. But what is rather odd is that later on in the document, they state that they only had data from the 18th and 19th, as when the GPS device that was on the Kaz II was found, it was configured to save memory and delete everything past 2 days. And the device was recovered during the day on the 20th. So how is this information used to debunk something that occurred on the 17th? On April 18th at 3:45 p.m., the Coast Watch surveillance aircraft operated by the Australian Customs Service had also spotted the yacht heading east some 80 nautical miles off the coast of Townsville. Reportedly, as well as the tear in the headsail, there was damage to the mainsail. No attempt to contact the yacht by radio was made, as the aircraft's air-to-ship radio was not functioning properly at the time. Based on their observations, no search and rescue mission was launched at the time. At this time, the Townsville Coast Guard was advised that no distress calls had been made from the Kaz II, and they attempted to contact the vessel by radio, but no response was received. On April 19th, the Coast Watch would locate the Kaz II again. This time, the vessel was facing east and appeared to be dead in the water. Authorities' concerns grew at this observation, and the helicopter was dispatched to board the vessel and assess the situation. Soon after, a video camera was found on board the ship that recorded some of the events of April 15th, around 10 a.m. In this footage, you can see that Des Batten is at the helm, a blue coffee mug is beside him, Peter Tunstead can be seen fishing off the aft stairway, and James Tunstead appears to be the one that's filming. Getting back to the search and rescue and what they found, the fishing pole that Peter was seen using in that video was found tethered to a stanchion next to the portside sugar scoop. Inside the cabin, everything was notably undisturbed. Assuming they were facing harsh weather, you would expect that there would be things tossed about, but that just wasn't the case. The engine had been idling when they'd found it, and notably, almost everything was in its place, aside from Peter's glasses and shirt, which were taken off at the back. By all accounts of the search crew, it was essentially another Mary Celeste situation, and the only thing missing was the crew. Now, when it comes to theories as to what happened to the men, I think it's proper that we start with the official story from the inquest and move our way from there. And it's worth noting that the coroner in charge of this investigation did state that he was definitely not 100% sure as to the final outcome. And as far as this case went, it was basically an open and shut door, in so much that even the families were very critical of the officials involved with the investigation. While the search lasted quite a bit and involved a large amount of resources, it seems that the ultimate theory that was settled upon was that all three men simply fell overboard. The main piece of evidence that was cited was that some of the fishing line and a lure had been caught in the back rudder. Seeing as Peter could be seen fishing off the back, it's believed that shortly after 10:05 a.m. on April 15th, when that video was time-stamped, that an accident had occurred. The investigation believes that Peter fell trying to free the line at full speed, and his brother with an injured foot jumped in after him, to which Des then turned on the engine to save the men overboard, and turned quickly around, to which it's believed he went to drop the sails at the top of the deck, and due to the sudden turning, it's believed that he got hit by the crossbar boom as he went to do that. Now, forgive me if I explain any of this wrong, as I'm not someone who has taken up sailing in the past, but as I've spent time reading some of the opinions on other sailors on this case, one of the main criticisms I've seen from other sailors who discuss this topic is the fact that many people cite no need to drop the sails in the first place, but rather just turn the boat around, as it would have wasted plenty of precious seconds to get that man a life ring. After all, this is a sailboat, and no matter what, you're going to have some momentum. The fact that a life ring wasn't used makes this theory questionable, as it would have been completely out of harm's way. Moreover, the boom on the Kaz was well above the covered cockpit, and there seems to be absolutely no reason to climb up to the deck when you can control the boat's sails from the cockpit, as that's where the winches were located. As far as how the sail got ripped, just leaving that out to rub against some of the rigging may cause the sail to rip, especially if it's windy out. But continuing on with another theory that makes a bit more sense to me was that the men were perhaps beached on a sandbar somewhere around George Point, and in their attempts to push the boat free, they could have accidentally dislodged the boat too quickly and have been stranded. Having the boat out in neutral seems to be consistent with this theory, but it's hard to say anything like this happened for certain. Other theories that I've seen passed around involve potential third parties, as the boat's fenders were deployed, which is usually the case if you are docked or next to another vessel, to avoid scratching the hull. But the fact that nothing was stolen and even the laptops were left turned on when they found the boat kind of rules out malice in the form of piracy. Also, these fenders can get left out just by way of forgetfulness, so this detail may be nothing. Lastly, had some freak wave or bad weather struck the men unexpectedly, you would expect the cabin to have been worse for wear, but the tidy nature of it all seems to rule out any unexpected turbulence or a rogue wave. I will say one thing that caught my attention throughout this entire mystery was the uncertainty of the early timeline and boat position. As you can probably tell from this video, eyewitness testimony is anything but reliable, but one thing that bugs me is the fact that 2 out of the 3 eyewitness accounts seem to claim to have seen a boat on the 16th rather than the 15th. and had some of the passerbys checked on the boat earlier, less data would have been deleted from the GPS, and we would have been able to specify a disaster point or provide clarity of what actually happened. Another thing that rubbed me the wrong way about this case too was the fact that in some of the initial news reports, the man who first boarded the boat claimed to see a bunch of knives strewn along the floor. To which I will note, I was unable to find the full video footage of the man going on board, and in his initial statement, the rescue officer stated, "I didn't know if someone was going to burst through a cupboard and go at me with a knife. I saw all the knives on the ground, but no blood. I thought, what the?" And according to the official inquest, there were no knives on the floor, and the rescue worker had simply been making flippant comments that were misconstrued by the media. Like I said previously, the whole tone of this inquest seems dismissive, and in my personal opinion, perhaps the most annoying detail about this whole thing was the fact that authorities refused to take any fingerprints below deck, despite the family requesting it. Their justification for not taking any fingerprints was that the place was too clean, and had it been pulled apart, then they would have taken fingerprints. If I had to interject my own personal opinion as to why they probably didn't take any, I would reason more that the forensic investigation had already touched everything inside the boat by the time this was asked. To which the coroner wrote, "Family members have raised concerns about the decision not to search for fingerprints or other scientific evidence on the Kaz II. I find that concern wholly understandable in the context of the men disappearing without a trace. However, I am equally satisfied that there was nothing to warrant such further steps." There's definitely something to be said about an investigation that both admits they can't be certain of the events that occurred, but refuse to look for more info. Ultimately, I'd love to know what your guys' theories are about what happened, because it seems like this is just another case that has had all leads submerged into the deep blue.
Now, it's stories like these that really make me love the Unsolved Mysteries show, and you know, it's just bad investigation work. It's all these different theories, all these different people saying different things. It's like, what's the truth and the whole story? So what are your thoughts, Jake?
I just love how it helps train your critical thinking skills going through these unsolved mysteries and seeing how you can put the threads together to kind of unwind what actually happened.
Yeah. What about you, Uppa?
I think the ocean is a dangerous place.
It could have been abducted by aliens.
Could have
Who
been.
knows?
It could have been anything. A wave could have hit them. They could have fallen off. Anything can happen out on the ocean. And when you're in the ocean and you're not a good swimmer or what have you, you're toast.
That's why the moral of the story is stay away from the ocean. Nah, I don't know. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's History's Mysteries. But before we go to memes, I have volume 23. Please excuse my sense of humor for a little bit of laugh. So let's go.
Surprise, motherfuckers! Was that someone at the window?
I'm afraid so, Mrs. Fluffy Bottom.
Well, who is it then?
It's an outdoor cat.
Yeah, that's right. I'm from the street. And if you know what's good for you, give me some of that meow mix you got in there.
My word, did you hear him threaten us?
I did. What is meow mix? I believe it's a cassette tape with an eclectic mix of hip-hop meowsing.
I see. My.
What is hip-hop meowsing? Not a mixtape, fool! Meow mix! Now give me some before I pop a claw in you!
Oh, great heavens! We only have Fancy Feast here.
Oh my God, it's Albert Einstein! It's Albert Einstein! Oh my God, it's Albert Einstein! Oh my God! Dude, you're Albert Einstein!
I'm sorry, what do you want?
You're Albert Einstein!
Okay.
Einstein, oh my God, man! You're Albert Einstein!
She gave me a bunch of crap about me not listening to her enough or something. I don't know, I wasn't really paying attention.
Don't they look delicious? And some triple thick McDonald's shakes? We can always make good use of that. Ah, here they are. Triple thick McDonald's shakes. Why, they're empty. Say, you sure can get a lot in these bags, can't you? Water in the court.
Your Honor, the accused hamburglar was caught red-handed, sneaking off with a big bag full of McDonald's delicious cheeseburgers.
That's serious.
My nephew was in that bag. My nephew was in that bag.
Come on. Isn't that McDonald's hamburger delicious?
Mom told me never to talk to strangers.
Well, your brother's right as always, but I'm Ronald McDonald. Give me a McDonald's shake.
Well, you sound like Ronald.
Here, I'll prove it.
I'll give you 3 more hamburgers. I know, you're not supposed to accept gifts from strangers either.
But you're no stranger. You really are Ronald McDonald.
He's Ronald McDonald, the hamburger happy clown. A McDonald's drive-in restaurant is his favorite place in town.
The authorities have closed the door to the bedroom. I can only assume that they have forgotten about me and have left me here to die. As a last resort, I will stand post for the rest of the night and sing the song of my people in hopes that they rescue me.
Leave me alone. We just wanted to say. I said leave me alone. You want trouble, huh? Pal? After.
Okay. Mikey boy charge and Bartle do.
Okay, no, I didn't know that.
No, I'm saying Cowboy charge and Bartle do.
I can't understand you.
That's my name, Bartle do.
Bartle do?
Bart. Bartholomew.
Bartholomew.
Bart,
okay.
just call me Bart.
Okay.
Yeah, would you look at that? Just my mailman. Me and him go way back. Cowboy charge with a nutsack swing. You should put it on a nutsack like this and bounces up and down on the trampoline. All right, thanks, my man. Appreciate it.
You were abandoned at birth. You're a person of color in America. You were a queer person in a Mormon community. Are there any other struggles you faced in life?
No, I think you really nailed it.
I knew that was you, bro. Snoop Doggy Dogg, bro. Snoop Dogg, bro. You Snoop Dogg, bro. You don't let the hoes, bro. You Snoop Dogg. You Snoop Dogg, bro. Look at the jersey on. That's Snoop's favorite team, bro. You Snoop Dogg.
Man, that's my favorite team. I ain't Snoop, homie.
You got on Chucks, bro. You Snoop Dogg. You Snoop Doggy Dogg.
Man, back up off me, homie. I'm not Snoop.
Man, you Cap Dog, bro. You Cap Doggy Dog, bro. You Snoop Dogg. You don't know who you are.
Man, Snoop up off me, homie.
You Snoop.
I'm not Snoop, homie.
You not Snoop Dogg?
I'm not Snoop Dogg.
All right, bro. Chill out. Hey. That looks like Snoop Doggy Dogg right there.
It looks like a...
That's Snoop Doggy Dogg.
What are you doing in Walmart?
A homosexual, Clay?
I am. Yes, Mr. Trump, I am.
No, is that true?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
But
Marcus, did you know that Clay was gay?
Yes, I did. When we first...
Did everybody know this?
Yeah.
Yes,
Sure.
Okay.
He let
Because
people
I didn't know it.
You're doing it right now. Can you just act like a human boy for 1 minute here? Look at me like a person. You can't do it for more than a few seconds. Look at me like a human boy. Don't mess around with me.
Everything happens to me. I think I'm cursed.
If you think your life is jinxed, now you can change it with E. David Scott's Curse Removal. Call this number and follow simple instructions. Positive forces instantly cast away the evil spirits that bring you bad luck. $1.95 per minute for entertainment only. Under 18 get permission. Call now and remove the jinx from your life.
Okay, next.
Look, Katie, a big ape. Hey, my faggot!
Mr. Brain's Faggots. A great meal all round.
So there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed, and you got some memes for me, Jake?
Yeah.
Meme me up. Meme me up. Meme me up.
I want the truth. I deleted the truth. That's why they couldn't find the Epstein files. I think that's been the biggest conspiracy, right?
Yep.
Is that they convinced us that they didn't delete them and that they were there to find at all. All right, at least the worst of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget, government is like a porta potty. I'd rather not use it, but I'd get arrested if I tried to do my business outside of it.
That's true.
And also, those who don't know history are doomed to compare everything to Hitler.
Yes.
Yes. And just because it is still August and not yet September.
Yeah, Mom, this is totally apple juice. Way to go, wait, sorry.
And this is what we're doing in 2025.
I thought
Yeah,
they were,
just the music.
I thought they were gonna form the towers or something. Yeah, are they gonna play 9/11 videos during the 9/11 holiday?
Once it's September, we're not allowed to
Question.
to show the moment that mass psychosis entered the work. It's just the memory of trauma that has pushed us to such ends as war in the Middle East. You know.
I might be insensitive, but I'm also autistic, and the day that happened, I just remember going home early from school, and I was pretty happy about that, but I was pretty scared about the future. But for that one day, I had a half day.
Man, you know, with all that crazy stuff they're showing at the Dome in Las Vegas, it got me thinking, you know, they're able to do so many amazing things that visually just trick the eye in that big sphere. Well, here's a compilation of some other ways that things can trick your eyes. Where's his head? Oh. Whoa, is that a tiny...
It's 9/11.
Is that baby peeing? What?
Babies can't pee.
Whoa. It's Grayskull.
No, that was Mothman, dude.
Whoa. Oh. It's her ponytail. Looks like somebody was riding on its back. Well, there's a creature there. Oh, that's cool. The little rat tails running. Yeah, that's all Jeremiah. Thanks, man.
All right, man. Thank you for another great current news, memes as always. Opa, thank you for another great Opa's Corner. I hope you enjoyed today's History's Mysteries and the episode as a whole. Stay awake, not woke. Subscribe and stay tuned. If you like what we do here on Skiba News Nation, please like and subscribe. And also share with others so we can grow the biggest truth-seeking community on the internet. huge shout out to all of our Patreons out there. If you like bonus content, you want some extra Skiba News Nation stuff, please go to patreon.com/Skiba News Nation.
Son of the legendary Ross Jeremiah Skiba.
It's like they don't even want to wake up.